Alderman Smith, don't make me. Don't make me.
That's awesome.
It's a great relationship for me.
I think it's 6:30. I gotta check. Hey, how's it going?
Right.
Good, how are you?
Who knows what happened or why, or, you know. You're going under, huh? All right. Okay.
Is this exclusive?
It's okay.
This is exclusive of that, yes.
I would be totally fine. Dan's actually gonna come,
I'm going with
so
650.
he'll cover.
Andy's going 650. Andy's doing the prices right thing and doing 650. Okay. You're going under. All right. We'll see.
All right, everybody, I'm going to call the regular DeKalb City Council meeting of July 11th to order. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Perkins,
Here.
McAdams,
Here.
Verbic,
Here.
Favor,
Here.
Mayor Barnes,
Here.
8 present.
Awesome. Moving on to agenda item B. Mr. Roby, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you, Mr. Roby. All right, moving on to agenda item C, approval of the agenda. I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the agenda has been approved. Moving on to agenda item D, presentations, we have none. Moving on to agenda item E, public participation, we have none. Moving on to appointments, agenda item F, we have none. And moving on to agenda item G, approval of the minutes. Number 1, minutes submitted by the city clerk, we have none. And number 2, minutes submitted by the recording secretary. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes that were submitted?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the minutes have been approved. Moving on to agenda item H, consent agenda. Number 1, accounts payable and payroll through July 11th, 2022 in the amount of $2,647,335.28. Number 2, investment and bank balance summary through May 2022. And number 3, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through May 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Verbic. Any questions or comments, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the consent agenda passes. Agenda item I, public hearings, we have none. And then J, considerations. Number 1, consideration of a proposed FY 2023 budget calendar. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman Perkins. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This calendar in broad outlines, although slightly different in dates, parallels what we've done the last couple of years. I think the council's been content with how we have addressed the prospective budget concerns with our Finance Advisory Committee, and then worked with them as we go through department level discussions about what is needed, and then we take a hard look at the fiscal realities in terms of revenues especially. So what I presented to you is a similar format. The first event is coming soon, August 15th, and that's a joint meeting with the Finance Advisory Committee and the Council, and that will focus, as in previous years, on the general fund, on our principal capital funds. Now the TIF 1 has been terminated. maybe that won't be so much a focus, but we'll certainly talk about our general capital and our vehicle replacement budgets, and maybe also our pension obligations. So if you have any other thoughts on that, please let me know, but that we're, unless you feel strongly tonight, we're probably going to proceed on that schedule.
Council, questions, comments? I'm actually excited about it. We have a new member to the Finance Advisory Commission. Yes, I'm excited about going through numbers, especially we have a powerhouse in our new Finance Director, Finance Director Dittman, and then we all know Bill likes to go well into the weeds. So it should be some exciting and spirited conversations. Yes, it's numbers. All right, awesome. So it looks like we're getting head nods, so proceed forward.
Thank you.
As recommended, City Manager.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 2, consideration of a brief summary of recent development activity in the Hillcrest Blackhawk area. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
Thank you. I think we'll spend a little more time on this. We arrive here tonight, and some of you, if you happen to come from the northwest side to this location, you are aware, and you've been aware for a while, there have been some physical changes in the core of the Annie Glidden North revitalization area. And that has been by design, at least in terms of the Annie Glidden revitalization plan, which was pulled together, as I note in the background, in started in 2017 when the appointments were made in 2018, and there was a consultant involved in the preparation of the graphics and the pulling together of the ideas that an ad hoc task force, a very large task force, and I think very generally representative of the community, was involved in. As I say in my background, I'm not looking tonight to focus the council's discussion on all the ideas that were promulgated in that plan. It's a plan that, for people who are watching tonight and people in the audience who have never read it, I think it's something that really bears reading and studying and rereading again. It's really insightful. It covers a lot of ground. What I'm hoping to do tonight is focus on one thing in particular, one piece of that, which is a focus area that was referred to in the plan as the Hillcrest Blackhawk focus area. And the point of it, the chief priority was to consider some kind of a mixed-use development through a potential public-private partnership. Those are the words right out of the plan for this particular area that's bounded on the east by Blackhawk and on the south by Hillcrest. And if you drove by there today, you'll see a lot of green in that area that was never there. Well, it hasn't been there for a long time. It was there at one point. And it's grass and some weeds, I hate to say, but it's that time of year. So I'd like to set this up and then defer to you and to members of the audience. The reason I fashioned this for your consideration, and I guess I'll take the blame for it. I thought the community, people I'm talking to, both in the Annie Glidden North area and around the town, are wondering, well, what are we going to do? A lot of money's been spent on raising of some buildings and the grading over the land where they once stood. What is intended to be there? And the plan had some notions about that. This is an area that has about 4.9 acres. It includes 3 key parcels: the parcel where Hunter Hillcrest used to be, the parcel where Campus Cinema used to be, and then the Andriaki parcel, which is immediately south of the former Fanaticos. It's got about 100 feet of frontage. It's about 0.4 acres, but we did a land swap 2 years ago that maybe didn't make sense to a lot of people, but it basically ironed out the north end of that redevelopment core. It's an L-shaped series of parcels. In your background, over on page 6, I basically get down to the meat of it all. This discussion, as I mentioned, was anticipated, and the plan suggested there are needs And I think a lot of those needs remain today. There are amenities that others enjoy in other neighborhoods in our community that include healthy groceries, restaurants, healthcare, childcare, neighborhood meeting space, after-school activities, space for after-school activities and recreation, other than what might be offered in some of our more formal parks. And in forums that many of you have participated in and members of our audience have participated in, there's been more discussion about other things that might be addressed. I'm happy to say, and there are people in the audience tonight who I think intend to speak on a couple of issues related to this and more general. There are lots of services being provided in the area now and have been in a very thoughtful way. There is a collaborative that has grown out of the revitalization of the University Village complex. It goes back a number of years. Money was provided in that process of about 7 years ago to support those services, and they're doing a good job. And there are people serving residents of University Village every day. That's just one piece of the Annie North revitalization area. Those same social service agencies are working individually and with families and with groups in other parts of the neighborhood area. And there is an entity, an agency, I guess we could say a corporation really, Opportunity DeKalb, which was defined as a community development organization in the Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan. It's been enjoying its 501c3 status now for well over a year. And representatives of that entity are here tonight, including the president, Dan, who's sitting in the front row. And Glenn Goring is here, and Denise Weinman is here, maybe others I'm missing. So they will be here also to talk about their focus, which has been revitalization in this area. So there are other voices other than ours. My focus was on what to do with the property that the city now owns through a number of legal and physical steps that have been taken and fiscal steps that have been taken, and how that can fit into the larger whole, keeping in mind what the plan originally conceived for this area. So I'll yield at this point. I think, as I've recommended, that we ought to give residents another chance to kind of walk around the plan and to comment to the corporate authorities about what they think ought to go in that L-shaped development area. And ultimately you decide as the owners and corporate authority what will go in there, but I know you're all eager to hear more about what people want.
And just a comment on what City Manager Nicholas was saying. City Manager Nicholas and myself are both members of Opportunity DeKalb. We regularly attend the meetings, and members of the board are here, Glenn Roby, Dan Kenny, and Denise Weinman. It's a fantastic group. Everyone is incredibly vested in that area. We have spirited conversations. We have candid conversations. There's a lot of pushing back and forth of ideas, thoughts, and just direction that we all see the AGN should go. I'm a part of the University Village Collaborative, and then GIP, who's a member of their board as well, is part of that. So there is an incredible amount of interaction back and forth with Opportunity DeKalb and the different initiatives going on in the neighborhood, as well as Opportunity DeKalb has done a phenomenal job engaging and directly affecting the lives of those that live within Annie Glidden North too. So I got to commend them on the job that they've been doing. It's been fantastic. Chad Glover is the executive director, I'll call him, of the organization, and he is, if you know Chad, he's an amazing man, and a kind soul and a great heart. So there's been a lot of interaction, and because of that, more ideas keep coming on what we should do with, how we can contribute to the revitalization of Annie Glidden North. With that, since we have some subject matter experts, I know we're talking about, and Bill, you want to have some open dialogues in the meetings coming ahead where the community can come out and talk about it and brainstorm. But right now, if there was anything you guys wanted to comment or make sure council's aware of, or any thoughts that you may have, you're more than welcome to come up, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here. I can see that, Dan, but you're a guy who thinks on his feet, so, or Glenn, yeah, or Denise. All right.
Well, I guess, just kind of to tag on to what has already been said, Opportunity DeKalb's very excited about this opportunity to get this piece of property at one of the high-priority properties redeveloped, and we will be holding some community conversations in tandem with DeKalb County Community Gardens to get input from the community for two of the top priority projects that were picked: the Community Health, Education, and Food Center, as well as the development of the Blackhawk Hillcrest area. And so I encourage the council to have these workshops, to hear what the public has to say and hear what the residents have to say, because they're very excited about it. They're very interested in what's going to go there, as Bill said. And I think this is really a great chance for the city and the community members to work together to bring about some positive change.
Mr. Roby?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. Just some very brief comments. One is to understand that the Opportunity DeKalb Board is made up of people that served in the Annie Glidden North Task Force. And during our work on the task force, we did have the opportunity to survey a lot of the folks within the community. There were many meetings, spirited debates that went on, and kind of that's how the AGN plan formed. So there's a lot of ideas that have already been well vetted. Opportunity DeKalb has also taken the opportunity, we were saying opportunity in the same sentence twice, but Opportunity DeKalb has been engaged in with lead from our lead community liaison, Chad Glover, in reaching out to the community and in all of the community. It's a very diverse community. There's families, obviously young children, people from marginalized communities, and there are also students in that neighborhood. And kind of listening to all voices and making sure that all voices are being heard and are part of the conversation. As our President Dan has indicated, there are going to be further ongoing conversations, and we're going to work collaboratively with some other partners within the university and city to kind of make sure that, again, an organized, well thought out, well executed communication and data gathering will be there so that we can come to this council and provide some at least knowledge or expertise that we think we can bring. I also want to highlight that in addition to having some members of the city that are part of the committee, and then a diversity of folk that are part of the community, whether, folks in real estate, housing, community development, community outreach. We also have representatives from the university at a significant level that's also part of our discussion. So when we say that this is a group that is truly invested and truly thinking of it from big picture, that is us as Opportunity DeKalb. There should never be any concern whether we are truly listening to individuals that live in that neighborhood and talking to the families. I've had the pleasure over the last several months to really get to know some of the people that are making some grassroots efforts to improve the lives of people that live in that neighborhood from every walk of life in that neighborhood, not one or the other. And it's been a very eye-opening experience for me, just getting to know those community activists that are out there trying to provide a quality neighborhood, a safe neighborhood for the families that live there, educating me on some things that I might not have been aware of, and it's just been, and that information has come back to the full board. I know that the mayor and the city manager have been involved in some community events in that neighborhood as well and been engaged. So, we are definitely a group that wants to get it right and wants to be able to provide proper support to this council and as it makes its decisions on what to do and going forward. And we are listening to every voice. And sometimes I think that the perception is not reality there, that some voices are being left out of the discussion. They absolutely are not and will not be left out of those discussions because we know that this is a bigger thing than any one person's particular angle. And again, our board is extremely diverse, extremely engaged, and extremely knowledgeable, and we really want to be impactful to the lives of the citizens in that neighborhood as well as the city as a whole. Thank you.
Denise, did they cover it, or would you like to say it? Please. Hard act to follow.
Wasn't planning on this, but basically, I think it's 25% of the population of DeKalb lives within the Annie Glidden. So it's very important that we work together, and I guess that's kind of the consensus. We can leave our personal agendas at the door. We can come in and say, hey, how can we help you? You help us, and let's work as a team. So I think that kind of ties it up in a little pretty bow.
Perfect. And I love it, and I know, Council, you've all read the Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan before, but as we move forward in looking what we're going to do with that property again, highly recommend revisiting it. When I look at the core goals of their initial plan, it was, reduce crime, which we've had a contribution in, which is great. It's changing the direction of AGN from surviving to thriving, which is awesome, and I think bringing in a new developer for Trifrat, Ridgebrook, and Lincoln Tower. That's not necessarily Annie Glidden North, but Trifrat and Ridgebrook are. We did that. And then, Dan Kenny and his food hub, looking at increasing access to healthy food as a tool for empowerment. Those are great things, but it's also focuses where making the area more pedestrian friendly, which we're talking about with our cul-de-sacs, which is great. Enhancing the overall college experience. Ensuring that AGN is a high choice area for those living at the university and employers can use for recruitment. So as Mr. Roby mentioned, it is a very diverse neighborhood, not just racially, but also economically. And the decisions that we make here need to focus on all that hard work that these gentlemen and ladies have contributed to over the years, and really using the AGN revitalization plan as a focus, I think, is important going forward. So with that, any questions or comments? I'm sure there's got to be something. Oh, sorry, Alderwoman Larson.
Thank you for all your hard work. And the last thing any of us want to see is be sitting in the same place 15 years from now. That would be the worst. And so I want to make sure the next step when we have a plan and now we need somebody to help develop it. That's the next step that's going to be very important, because we have to find somebody that is committed to DeKalb, as everyone in this room is, and that they're not looking, that's a quick buck. I can go in, throw whatever up, stores, living, whatever, and then when they start going to the bad side, they're out of here. So that's, I'm so glad that we're going to have we know where we're going to focus when we get done with all these groups, but then the next step, we really have to pick the right person that's going to be committed as well.
Any other comments or questions, Council? All right, City Manager, this is consideration.
I'll bring it back on the 25th.
Okay.
It's a couple weeks. We've opened the door. Hopefully we get some coverage of this, and we're talking about it online and on our Facebook page, and we get some response. Even if nobody wanted to come here and venture forth in a formal council meeting, even though it's a consideration, it's not relaxing to do that for some people.
Correct.
There are other people who, they can certainly call us individually. They can talk to Dan and to Glenn and Denise and members of the Opportunity DeKalb Board and to what Glenn referred to as activists and startup entrepreneurs who are making themselves known, who live in it and are trying to thrive in that neighborhood.
Awesome. Anything else?
I do have a question, because it starts with you saying you're going to bring it back on the 25th. And I guess my question is more so one for an update for the community more at large, and where are we in the process? Because I know there's been a lot of things that have been done, but I guess on the 25th, what are you going to bring back?
Well, it's mostly, on the 25th, it's not Bill making a script, it's basically, it's an open session. It's a listening session, so people can come and say, look, I've been living in this neighborhood for a long time, and these are my thoughts, and I see you're also thinking the same way. Or you could say, I don't think you're seeing what I see, and this is what I think is most important. So we need to hear the range of opinion that we may find. That's all.
So that'll be in the listening sessions between now and then.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
In August.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Probably the 25th, and then we may skip a week just to let things settle out, and then maybe the second meeting in August, and after that, we'll see where we stand. The council at that point can direct us to do whatever's your pleasure.
I think a key component is making sure that us as a council provided the opportunity for people to come before us and express what their desires are, their opinions are. But like Bill said, I don't know how many of you came before council before you've been a part of council, but my heart was always racing. I was always nervous. It's intimidating being at that podium talking to us. So we want to provide that opportunity, let people come, but then also leveraging our relationship and our involvement with Opportunity DeKalb, the University Village Collaborative, listening on multiple levels and within multiple organizations, especially areas where people had an opportunity just to be themselves and just talk one-to-one. I've had that as some of the events that have happened within Annie-Glidden North, some of the events that I've gone to, it's been phenomenal getting that feedback. But this, I think, a major priority is opening up to the public so they can come before us, giving them that opportunity, and then we'll have some discussion as well.
Got it.
Is that an accurate representation, City
Yes.
Manager? Okay. Alderman Smith?
Has there been any inquiries at all, Dan, Glenn, Denise? Like, have you heard anything? You know, sometimes, like the mayor said, people are afraid to come up, and you guys have been involved in this directly, and I really appreciate it. Have you heard anything, or people, throwing any ideas at you, or, you know what I mean, to get the whole thing started? Glenn, you're kind of laughing. I must have hit the nail on something.
Well, yes, of course, we've heard many different ideas. We had some community meetings several months ago at the church there in the neighborhood, and we heard a range of things from community activities, including bowling, things like that, things for youth to do in particular. Community center comes up many times that has activities for youth as well as activities for all population ages, and also access to social services in the neighborhood, as opposed to them having to travel wherever to get those services. Food is still an issue. We go, DeKalb County Community Gardens goes there once a week to distribute food in the neighborhood, but still food is an issue to be able to have the choice of a store where you can go in and shop for the food you want. Food that's culturally relative is really important too, because you have many different cultures living in that neighborhood. So those are some of the issues that come up, as well as affordable housing.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Alderman Burbick?
Is there a location in that area where we could hold a city council meeting? I don't know if anyone has the space or whatnot where we could do that, hopefully putting people more at ease to come in, and rather than have it maybe like this where we're sitting up in front, we're just all sitting around more casually, yet we need to come to order as a council. How could we do that at somewhere else that would be more accessible?
So we've had open sessions in, not council meetings per se, but where council members have been invited to the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and could happen in other churches. We tried doing some listening sessions in the park, the splendid park, and it's just that it's such a gathering place for families and cooking out and children playing and all. It's sound-wise and otherwise, it's not the best place to be heard necessarily, or carry on a series back and forth over certain content-laden issues. But the one reason why it could be here, and I'd recommend it be here, is because there are other sessions going on, and we can be the beneficiary of reports on what other people have heard, or what you've heard by attending these. But this is where we broadcast to the community. There are people watching us tonight. Anybody who lives in DeKalb can see us, who's on cable. Not everybody's on cable, but it's still a magnification, a multiplication of the possibilities for dialogue here than if we pick a spot and hope that people show up. And then you're still sitting there, you're still, yeah.
When I think something that I found effective, the event, the Girls on the Run ribbon cutting, that was phenomenal. I think you were there.
Yes.
Just sitting down with folks for that hour, 2 hours was phenomenal. Or Malia, I can't remember Malia's last name, but Malia had an event at the old 912 Edgebrook property that we reported on. Great event, holy cow. And just, again, walking around, introducing yourself, and just asking the questions is phenomenal. But I think, Bill, you're talking about the technology too and
Yeah.
all that. We do have a following and a obligation, I think, to do it here for our council meetings.
And every one of the council members can have, many of you have, and certainly can, I'd recommend you do, attend any other listening sessions that are made known. But there's another thing, and you're going to think I'm this crazy idealist, which every once in a while I pound the table on. So here we are. This is local government. It's about as good as it gets in terms of American democracy. This is where you go to be heard. And if you can't be heard, other people can speak for you, if you don't feel you're comfortable speaking. And ultimately, you have to make decisions. And so as a body, you need that time to dialogue. You need to debate. And it's hard to do that in a park or across an audience. This is it. So at some point, it's going to come back here. We can have a lot of conversation, but it's going to end up in your lap. So I heartily recommend that at some point, then you wrestle with what is served up.
Alderman in favor? Oh, hang on one second, Len. Go ahead.
Do we have a list of all the ideas generated, or I guess are we going to compile those now going forward? Want to make sure we're not getting like double votes or anything like that. But I mean, it's a fairly large piece of property, but there's a lot of, there's a lot, there's things I've heard, read on Facebook, just kind of the impromptu poll there is, obviously potentially transportation center, NIU, bus transfer, community center has come up many times. I've heard that multiple times for something to do for children in the neighborhood, and then obviously the food aspect of it, and then services, right? Family services or health services or other community type services there. So yeah, it'd be nice to get, and I'm sure that'll be part of the presentation on the 25th, will be, I guess the voice of the community coming back to City Council.
Mr. Roby?
I think you're reading my mind. One of the things I wanted to also highlight is it's a big community, right? And there are a lot of different sites. And there are a lot of different ideas for different sites within the community. So I think that, while you all are in possession and control over one site, there are many other sites that some of these ideas that are being generated may fit better into. And so everyone kind of thinks about, what we're going to do with just the L, but, the project that Dan is working on, which encompasses a lot of different pieces, is not currently slated for that space, but still within the community. So I think that when we come back and have the conversation with you all, yes, obviously, you all are going to have some opinions about what the L could look like, but do understand there are other components within the neighborhood and other locations within the neighborhood where some of these other services and needs will be addressed or potentially be addressed, because I don't have a crystal ball and can't, tell people what to put on their property. But Dan's, the education center that he's working on will encompass some health care components, will encompass some community engagement components, will, obviously food components. So those are three things that have come up that are not currently planned for the L. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at it, that if it happens, and we're hoping that it does, that could take care of that in the different location other than the L. So the L doesn't need to be everything for everyone.
That's a great point, and I think that's one of the values that I see within Opportunity DeKalb, is that holistic look of the entire neighborhood, not just this particular L. Alderwoman Morse?
Yeah, in that context especially, I want to note, I had heard it at some of the meetings mentioned by some people, the idea of a school there. Now, I just want to mention that again with utmost caution, but taking note that many of the children in that area are bused to Founders or are bused to Brooks, Lincoln.
Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they're bused to all other areas of the town. And so, I was a resident of the little space that is the AGN space. It's still in my ward, but I lived in a space where my kids couldn't walk to school whatsoever. So they were going to Brooks. And now I chose to live on the other side of the ward, in Heatherstone, where all of my children have access to walk to school on their own. And children in high school, middle school, and elementary school. And that opportunity, I think, and Glenn's shaking his head because I just learned he lives backing up to that elementary school right there. But that opportunity is one of the things, and walkability is one of those things that we're finding more and more makes a community so attractive to new residents. So I just wanted to mention that idea again.
Alderman Burbick?
Same thing, hearing from Ward 6 residents about a school and the need for walkability to be more involved with the school. Things like hearing about your child is sick, yet you have no transportation. How do you pick them up in Cortland if that's where they're at? So those kinds of things, Alderwoman Morris, great point.
And those are big pieces of infrastructure growth as we're as we're adding all of this huge development in the south side of town.
And that conversation has been brought up multiple times, and to Glenn's point, it's definitely being heard, talked about, and it is a large area, and there are multiple sites for a variety of things that we could be successful with. But I'll remember, I meet with Samantha McDavid, the president of the school board, monthly. I'll make sure that I add that to our agenda and our conversation, just to make sure I could feel where the school district is on an idea like that. So that's great.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, go forth, city manager, and do. Awesome. Opportunity DeKalb members, thank you for coming out. There's no reason to stay. I know our meetings are, exhilarating and fascinating, but I'm sure you all are busy and have bigger things to do out there, so no need to stay. You betcha.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to hang on, gotta catch up. That was a great background, City Manager Nicholas.
Resolutions.
Yep, agenda item K, resolutions. So number one, resolution 2022-058, accepting the qualification-based selection of Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick Incorporated to perform construction resident engineer services for the double bridge replacement project impacting North First Street and Lucinda Avenue, and authorizing the city engineer to provide approvals on all standard Department of Transportation selection documents. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
Another one of those occasions where the title is about as meaningful as anything I've written. So we're simply recommending HLR is what they go by in the field. It's too much to say the whole name and spell it out, but they've been working with the city of DeKalb for decades, off and on different projects, and in particular, they have had some preliminary, done some preliminary work on both of these bridge concepts, and there's a lot more work to do. So we thought it was appropriate, Zach Gill and I, to bring them forward from our pre-qualified list of engineering firms, and we recommend that you support this resolution.
Council? Hearing none? Roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2022-058 passes. Moving on to number two, Resolution 2022-059, appropriating supplemental funds in the sum of $500,000 of motor fuel tax funds for maintaining various streets and highways under applicable provisions of the Illinois Highway Code, Section 22-00000-00-GM, from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, for a total appropriation of $2,325,000. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We've done some revision of our FY22 budget, and the state's budget is on a little different calendar year than ours. So it was appropriate that we update what they know of what we intend to spend with motor fuel tax funds on general maintenance, which includes salt and the electricity and the street lights, as well as the hardcore resurfacing and concrete repairs and so forth. And so that's the number, and we were aiming at about, that's just with MFT funds, and we're up a little bit beyond that in our overall street program. So this is a formality, but bring it to you for your approval.
Council? Hearing nothing. Oh, Alderwoman Morris.
Sorry, I had a quick thought. The streetlights that we've added to the AGN area are solar powered, right? I was just seeing the electric bill here. Do we know what we're saving in that? Wait, I realize maybe it's an aside and off topic, so I apologize. But
I don't have a specific answer for that, but there are savings. There's supposed to be a longer term saving because there was an upfront cost, obviously, to purchase the solar apparatus and install it, and but over time, after the first year or two, then it should be creating some savings for us. That's the intent. I don't have the numbers on that.
But then, I mean, in parallel, ComEd had a great
Yes.
program and replaced many of our incandescents and high-pressure
Sodium.
thank you, lights with LED, which are at a greatly reduced cost. So if you start comparing solar to the LED, I don't know what the savings is going to be, but it's definitely going to be some, for sure.
that's all.
Good. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2022-059 passes. So for the next two resolutions, they both involve Architectural Improvement Program, which is part of our TIF. As you all know, I own a building in the TIF district that received TIF money, so I will have to excuse myself for La Calle discussion and Fargo skateboarding, and I'm going to turn the gavel over to Alderman Favor for that discussion.
All right, Resolution 2022-60, authorizing an architectural improvement program, AIP, economic incentive for 263 East Lincoln Highway in the amount of $12,625 for La Calle. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So, motion moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Larson. City Manager.
Thank you. We're excited about both of these in different ways, bringing vacant buildings back to life. And the first one concerns the efforts by the Galindo family, who have been working very hard to get this launched. And I applaud their determination and patience. And a long time ago, we talked about the possibility of some TIF assistance, and the program has changed, obviously. Mostly right now, we're focusing on facade improvements in the AIP program offerings that attend certain things. In this case, they are spending a lot of money on ADA compliance and installation of life safety improvements, among other things. And the total of all those exceeded $25,000. It happens, there are 3 flights, as you know, to the AIP program, and the best cost-sharing option is that which shares 50% of the cost. All of the focused repairs and remodeling are, for this particular grant, fall within that flight. So the total amount is $12,625. We recommend your support.
Council members, any questions? No? Roll call?
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
7 aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your investment in DeKalb. Looking forward to the opening. When's is it? Corn Fest weekend. Great, thank you.
July 26th, or August 26th.
All right, Resolution 2022-061, authorizing an architectural improvement program, AIP, for economic incentive for 641 East Lincoln Highway in the amount of $8,616, Fargo skateboarding. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Morris, seconded by Alderman Perkins. City Manager.
This is one of my favorite in recent years. If you have driven by what used to be the Fargo Theater between 7th and 6th on East Lincoln Highway, you've seen the new sign and maybe just thought, oh, looks like maybe it's been fixed up or something. But it looks very much like the historic sign, and that was by design. Ariel Reese, who's here in the audience tonight, and her team have been working very hard to bring life back to that. They have a going concern, a skateboarding center for young and old. I'm probably a little bit on that. I don't know. Yeah. Someday maybe I could walk through it, but I'm much taken when people look at the historic facades of our buildings in the downtown area and decide we'd like to do something to recapture that. And in this case, it was a striking sign a long time ago, and it's a really striking sign now, except it's illuminated and it's going to last a long time. And the owners had spent a lot of money on this to make this happen. I mean, they could have just painted a sign and thrown it up there, as some have done, but they did it the hard way. They looked at the historical photographs that they could find. They hired welders, and they created the sign, hired a company to help them create the sign to look exactly like it used to be, and got it hung. And so what they're asking for is $8,616. I think it's a good investment and recommend your approval.
Okay. Council? All right, roll call.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbeck?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution passes. Thank you.
Can I add
Yes.
Can I add something real quick? My brother will come and use Fargo from Woodstock and from Chicago. He'll be visiting my mom in Woodstock and then come all the way to DeKalb just to visit Fargo. So
That's awesome.
Sure.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would, 90% of our customers come from over half an hour away. Okay, so like, I just had people from Minneapolis come and stay in
That is
DeKalb.
awesome.
We have people from St. Louis come, we got people from Iowa, Michigan, people come from all over to skate there. And with the sign, we did it all locally. A fabricator in Cortland, and it was hand-painted by my friend Andy, who has his shop right on Locust Street. So that is all done by hand. Yeah, we really wanted it to be quality, and it'll be up there for a long time.
It looks amazing.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
It's
makes
awesome.
The blocks look a lot better, so thank you so much for approving that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item L, ordinances, second reading, we have none. Agenda item M, ordinances, first reading, we have none. Man. And then agenda item N, council member reports. Who would like to start? Alderwoman Morris.
So I have a ward meeting tomorrow night. Just want to make sure everybody knows about it. And I'm so bad. Ruth, what time is it at?
6:30.
Thank you. So it's at 6:30 tomorrow evening, and we're going to be having it in the playground area at Jefferson Elementary School. So best place to park is park along Ridge, and then you can walk through. And so please bring a lawn chair because chairs are not provided. That's all.
Alderman Smith.
13th and 14th are, I can't say enough about the neighborhood. They've been very patient with what's going on in there. but work is moving along. And I will be having a ward meeting once I work it out with the fire chief, somewhere the end of July, 1st of August. So that is forthcoming. I will announce that next council meeting. That's it.
Alderman McAdams.
Speaking of ward meetings, the long-awaited fifth ward meeting will be held on the 3rd of August at 7 PM at Cornerstone DeKalb. So we're looking forward to doing that.
Alderman Faber.
So at the end of the month is the EAA Air Venture. It's the largest air show, I believe it's the largest air show in the world, certainly in the US. You're probably going to hear strange airplane sounds flying over, and actually this week on Sunday, I think we actually had a German Messerschmitt 109 stopped in to refuel, which is very rare. So keep your eyes out, look up at the sky, and you might see something you probably may never see again. So just some interesting things to see in DeKalb.
Alderman Burbick.
Special thanks to Dawn and Aaron in your support of Ward 6 residents. Thank you.
Alderman Perkins.
No report.
Alderwoman Larson.
No report.
Me, just real quick, attended a belonging meeting, as usual. Bill and I are both members of that since its inception. Great group of people, always trying to figure out how to do things better and be as impactful as possible. So if you're not familiar with the Belonging Initiative, I would highly recommend Google it. A lot of great information. John Powell just has some amazing ideas on how to move a conversation forward. So we're really trying to drive belonging within the city of DeKalb as deep as we possibly can. I mentioned we had an opportunity DeKalb board meeting, and I got to say it again, that group is great. It's just absolutely spirited, but in a way that we all know we're trying to do what's best for the city of DeKalb, so we can have those open and honest conversations, which you can't ask for anything more than a group of citizens that can have spirited debate, but do so professionally and respectfully. Also met with Samantha McDavid, like I said. We meet every month, just talking about school district, talking about city, and making sure the two largest governments in our community outside of Northern Illinois University are trying to collaborate on as many things as possible. So that's always a pleasure, and she's been absolutely wonderful to work with. Also, if you didn't see, we had Senator Dick Durbin out last Thursday. It was great. He called, asked to come out, wanted to find out what's going on in DeKalb, which is really cool. It shows just how far we are on people's radars. But we had an opportunity to talk with him and his leadership team just directly on some specific things we'd like to see within DeKalb and how he might be able to assist. And then, of course, we have to take him out to the Meta Data Center. And Meta, as usual, was very accommodating to the U.S. Senator. So that was great, and it's nice to see we continue to get on at a federal level, whether it's Alderwoman Underwood, Representative Underwood, and in this case, Senator Dick Durbin. City Manager. Yeah, sorry, Alderwoman Morse.
I apologize. I just wanted to add one more thing. Independent of council, I have joined the pool committee. I don't know what you want to call it, but either way, people are reviewing at the park district level what to do moving forward with the pool. And so that meeting is this week, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at the Hopkins Park Terrace Room. Just wanted to mention that. The format is just like the city council meeting where public comment is welcomed. So if you care about what's going on with the pool, please come out and let us know your thoughts.
Awesome. City Manager Nicholas.
I think you've all been aware that there's something happening in the downtown streetscape, and the project is on schedule, and it will stay on schedule, rain or snow or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't snow. And the project moved to the north side last Friday, actually, in anticipation of a more dramatic change probably tomorrow. And I think there's some striping, restriping, so that we can shift the traffic. Now the curb obviously is well set on the south side, and the brick. If you haven't been down there, the expanse of brick invites your imagination to see tables and chairs and umbrellas and people laughing and having fun, and it's lively. And I was working on Saturday evening, and the downtown was hopping, even though people were dodging dust piles and brick and all the rest of that, but there were people coming in groups, big groups, just kind of watching and looking, and I'm pleased with the work of the contractor, Elliott Wood, and the subcontractors that are working there. They've been very, I think, gracious and agreeable, and
Even when someone walks through the wet cement.
Yep, it's happened, and but
Multiple
not
times.
too bad, and so pleased so far. I think it'll be a real capstone to what we've been doing here lately.
Agreed. I did forget two things. Chief Byrd, I just wanted to express my thanks to your officers. There were a few businesses in town over the last weekend that had an issue, and the quick response, and I'm being vague because I don't know what's public or what's not, but the quick response of your officers led to the apprehension of allegedly some of the perpetrators. So that was great to hear, especially talking with the local businesses and getting their appreciation on that was great. And then Chief Thomas, my mother was up from Arkansas on Thursday and had an issue, and it required me to call 911. And you guys, sorry, you guys responded awesome. Talk about just professional, kind, considerate. It was an incredible experience that you all made me feel really good and confident about the care that she was in, and your response time was staggering. So please, I'm sure you can look up who might have responded, but please give them, and I would say everyone at the department, because obviously that's from the leadership on down, to be able to have a crew like that can respond like that. So both of you, I've had personal experiences with over the last 7 days, and it's just been phenomenal, the team that you have. So thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item O, executive session. That's right, we have an executive session, sorry. Let me just get my bearings for a second, I apologize for that. So, I'm just looking up the procedure for how to go into executive session correctly, but I think, and Ruth and City Attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I need a motion to move into executive session to approve to hold an executive session in order to discuss the sale or lease of real property as provided for in 5 ILCS 120/2C6. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Smith. Roll call?
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, we are moving into executive session. That's it, right? All right, beautiful. Thanks you all for coming.